Okay, we are back with another update on the most polarizing stock in our markets. This stock garners a lot of emotions and attention as of recently. Yes, we're talking about MicroStrategy, MSTR. Now, let's just consider something. Bitcoin long-term reaches $1 million per coin, which is probably going to happen. In fact, there is 32 Bitcoin halvings. The last Bitcoin halving will happen in 2100, okay? We've only seen 4 of them so far. And Bitcoin is already at almost $100,000. Yes, it's trading down a little bit today, down to about $96,000, down from almost $100,000 in which we were at on November 22nd. But consider this for a moment. MicroStrategy owns precisely 333,200 Bitcoins. If Bitcoin were to reach $1 million per coin, just with par value, 1-to-1 ratio, that would be $331.2 billion of market cap value for MicroStrategy. That would put MSTR stock at $1,435.50 per share. Now, Bitcoin's not going to reach $1 million in the next year or 2 or even 3 years, most likely, unless something dramatic were to happen with Bitcoin. Maybe the government starts buying Bitcoin, who knows, then it could reach $1 million in that time frame. But assuming all else is equal, it could take 5 to 10 years. But eventually, MicroStrategy, as long as they're not forced to sell any of their Bitcoin, and we'll talk about that in just a moment, MSTR pretty reasonably one day could be a $1,435.50 stock. But wait, MicroStrategy actually trades today at about 200 times, or 200%, I should say, the book value of Bitcoin that they currently own. Okay, so they own 331,200 coins of Bitcoin, times that by 100,000, basically 2x that, and that's the market cap of MicroStrategy, okay? Now, if we consider, just for a moment, what a 25% premium, let's assume that MicroStrategy trades at 25% higher than the Bitcoin holdings they have by the time Bitcoin reaches $1 million, you're going to be looking at a MicroStrategy that is actually about $1,722.50 per share, assuming they do not buy any more Bitcoin ever again. Okay? Never buy any more. Okay. Those are pretty impressive numbers, but assuming they will probably buy more Bitcoin, these numbers could be low. Well, the real opportunity comes with MSTR if we do get a sell down. As I've said before, I do not own any MSTR. I've been trading this stock a lot. It's been a blast to trade. It's been super fun. But if you could buy MSTR at, let's say, 200 or 100, 150, that would be a massive opportunity. That is a 10x opportunity in the next 5 to 10 years pretty easily, as long as Bitcoin does not go through some kind of, Bitcoin winter or something along those lines. As long as MicroStrategy is not forced to sell any stock. With that said, there's a lot of fears out there. There's a lot of concerns, especially following the almost 20% drop that we had on November 21st. In fact, look at this article. It says MicroStrategy stock big swings could be another sign of a looming market crash. And there's a lot of articles like this. People are assuming MicroStrategy is like a bellwether to a coming stock market crash. In fact, I don't think that is true, that MicroStrategy is some leading indicator. But Bitcoin is selling down, did see some resistance again at about 100,000. That means MSTR is probably going to be under pressure coming tomorrow morning. That's because MSTR trades at a premium valuation to the Bitcoin that they hold. It's essentially a very volatile Bitcoin ETF. And as I've said in prior videos, you need to be prepared for this thing to go to $1,000 in the near term. You need to be prepared for this thing to go back to $100 or $50 in the near term if we were to go into some kind of recession or Bitcoin just all of a sudden becomes, unfavorable, which can happen with very volatile assets. Now, we do have a little bit of good news I want to share with you as well. Donald Trump chooses hedge fund executive Scott Bessent for Treasury Secretary. Now, this guy is a hedge fund executive. He works for Key Square Group LP. He is the founder and chief executive officer at that company. So presumably, we're going to have some favorable equity and crypto policies coming as well from the Treasury Secretary Department. So that could be good news for our markets, which could help offset some of the rejection that we're seeing with Bitcoin. Now, before we go any further here, I also want you guys to take a listen to what Michael Saylor, MSTR CEO, just said about Citron short bet on MicroStrategy. And this Citron short bet was announced on the day that MSTR fell 20%, or almost 20%.
Michael Saylor is here with us this morning, and I'd love for you, if you could, it's great to see you. Bitcoin's been on a wild run, and boy, have you been right, but I'd love for you to respond to this report.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people don't understand our core business. We're a Bitcoin treasury company. We're powered by a Bitcoin reactor. We've got $35 billion of Bitcoin, and it's spinning at 100 vol. So the way we make money is we're selling the volatility and recycling it back into Bitcoin. And we're also stripping the volatility and the risk and the performance off of fixed income securities. And we're transferring that to the common stock. So our common stock is delivering 2x Bitcoin, 2x vol. So Andrew, if you want to understand the economics of this, we generate a spread. The BTC spread we generate, it's a function of the equity premium, the convert premium, and the Bitcoin premium. The Bitcoin premium is the ARR of Bitcoin versus the US dollar. 2 weeks ago, we did 4.6 billion of an ATM. We ran it at a 70% spread. That means we made about a $3 billion BTC gain in 5 days. That would be about $12.50 a share. But over 10 years, that's $36 billion, or about $150 a share, just on that 1 week. This week, we did a convertible bond, $3 billion at an 80% BTC spread. That's a $2.4 billion gain. That's about $10 a share, but over 10 years, that's $125 a share to the shareholders. I think that the thesis of the shorts is if the premium in the equity disappears, we can't make money. What they miss is that when we actually borrow money at 6% and we invest it in Bitcoin, and Bitcoin goes up 30%, and by the way, Bitcoin's going up 60%, we're getting a 90% BTC spread, but it would be 80% BTC spread, which means the $3 billion fixed income raise in preferreds or bonds generates the same $125 a share and $30 billion over 10 years. So once you understand that, you have a different view of the company.
So what do you say, though, to those who say there's a risk here? Because this is effectively a levered Bitcoin position. And if, in fact, Bitcoin goes down, this becomes a much more complicated situation.
Yeah, well, the number one risk you take is the existential risk that Bitcoin has an extinction level event and goes to zero immediately tomorrow. But every long investor in MicroStrategy is a Bitcoin maximalist or a Bitcoin believer. They've accepted that risk. Once you accept that risk, what do we expect? We expect it's going to go up 29% a year for the next 21 years. It's been going up 60% a year. So the people that are buying the equity are buying the equity because they want 2x Bitcoin, they want 2x vol. And once you accept that idea, you can see, over the last 2 weeks, Andrew, we've generated $5.4 billion in BTC gains. We're making 500 million a day. I'm staring at my screen and we're selling dollar bills for $3, sometimes 1 million times a minute. And so it's not impossible. I mean, we may very well be the most profitable company in the United States, growing the fastest right now, because there's not many companies that are making $500 million a day doing what they're doing.
Milo,
and so, if you don't like Bitcoin, you don't want any piece of it. But if you like Bitcoin, then this is a monster for you.
Wow, that was powerful, to say the least. The guy knows his shit. And that's the easiest way to put it in today's language. With that said, yes, you're going to see, Michael Saylor's right, a lot of volatility. Bitcoin could go to zero. Most people don't expect that to happen. I think if Bitcoin were to go to zero, we have much bigger issues than just Bitcoin. Okay? That's like, at this point, you're probably talking about the end of the world if Bitcoin goes to zero, or the world as we know it, okay? So the odds of that, I would say, are very low. I tend to be optimistic at nature, so take it for what you want. The risk in the near term for MicroStrategy is Bitcoin does fall back to its, mid-range of the Bollinger Band, 20-day moving average, at about $88,000. That's the near-term risk for Bitcoin. Although I think a more realistic risk is down to about $92,000. If you go down to there, MicroStrategy is probably going to be a $300 stock if I were to just ballpark it here. And that would be a pretty good buying opportunity. Not the greatest, but a pretty good buying opportunity. I think the real opportunity comes if the stock falls again to the 200 to 150 level, because I believe over time, Bitcoin will hit $1 million per coin over time, of course. And you really want to be in this stock, if you are in this stock, as a long-term investor, okay? Because we're talking $1,700 plus, assuming they don't buy any more Bitcoin, which I'm sure they'll buy a lot more Bitcoin by then. So this company could be a $1 trillion company at some point in the future, assuming they 3x their Bitcoin holdings before Bitcoin's $1 million per coin, right? So I think that's the longer term opportunity. I like the idea of nibbling here, not going all in, because there is a lot of momentum as of recently, and things do not go up in a straight line. But this chart, I mean, could look like Apple in the 90s one day, right? Where we're at now is way, 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 way lower than where we could be in the future. Again, just simple basic math here, and this is not accounting for other variables. If this stock were to be a $1 trillion company, it could be roughly a $5,200 stock. Yeah, that's a 10x from even today's prices, but that could be a 30x if you buy the stock around 150. Okay, I like that for a 5 to 10 year outlook. I think 10 years is more of a base case. I think 5 years is more of a bull case for Bitcoin to reach $1 million per coin. I like that. I mean, I like more risk. So if you like a high risk to reward profile, then MicroStrategy could be for you at the right price. Okay. If you're buying MicroStrategy here, you're only looking at a 10x, a little bit more than that, like 15x over the next 5 to 10 years in the bull case scenario, right? If you buy MicroStrategy at $100, $150, you're looking at a 30x. That's a big return difference. So, short term, people can hate the stock, but longer term, it's hard to hate the stock. And again, this is on only a 25% premium to Bitcoin spread. Okay. Today you're trading at a 200 times Bitcoin spread. So if we were to trade at 150 times Bitcoin spread, by the time Bitcoin's $1 million per coin, which I doubt we would trade at that, but if we did, assume this could be 2 to 3x higher, you could be looking at MicroStrategy at $10,335 per share. Okay, that's where returns just get crazy, right? That's 100x if you're buying the stock, if you get a chance to buy the stock at $100 per share. Like, if you have crazy. Okay, we're gonna get a little crazy with this. Okay, if you put $5,000 into MicroStrategy, assuming the stocks drops to 150, let's say, that would be 33.33 shares times 10,335 theoretically one day. That is $344,000. Assume you put $10,000 into the stock. That could be a almost $700,000 position one day. I like that. The risk to reward on that. I do. But the right price is important, because if you put $5,000 in today at $435 per share, that's only 11.49 shares. Even in the bull case scenario, MicroStrategy hits $10,335. That's 118,000. Yeah, that's still really good, but it's not 700,000. Okay, so I like it here. I would like it more if it was lower. If it does go lower, I'm gonna be a big buyer in MicroStrategy. That's just that's my opinion, and I'm excited here because I think there is a good chance that it will fall back to the 150 level. Right? I think you should always be open to that chance, and honestly, you should hope for that to happen. But hey, just my opinion. Let me know what you think about this information down below in the comment section. I know there's a lot of talk about a potential short squeeze, and that can happen, and that's probably already started to happen. Short interest is about 15%. I don't expect anytime soon, Wall Street's going to give up on trying to short the stock. But hey, we'll see. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you in the next one. Say bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.